Hi, everyone. Let's see if people are coming in. Refresh my page. Alrighty. Let's see how everybody is doing.
Hi, everyone. We're just going to take a minute here. Our speaker was disconnected. We'll be starting again shortly. Thank you. All right, everyone. Alani is connecting to audio and joining us again, so we'll be able to restart. Thank you so much for your patience with us today. Alani, you're muted. Just to add one more thing.
Sorry about that, everybody. I just went poof out of the air. So here I'm back. Um, glad to join you this morning. Am I being heard, Sarah?
It looks like it. Yeah.
And can everybody see me? I just want to make sure that is happening before. Okay. Let's see. Make sure you can hear me. And that now I will go to sharing my screen. Sorry about that, guys. I'm hoping everybody can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay. Just in case you probably weren't lost in passable space like I was, but you are currently, if you were, you are currently joining the Battling Online Learning Fatigue. And it looks like you can see the screen and you can hear me now. Great. Oh, hallelujah. Well, now that I'm connected and you folks are all connected, I wanted to thank you for joining Battling Online Learning Fatigue. And let's get started by first going through our disclaimer.
This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred.
Okay, now that we've got disclaimed, I am Olani Lilly. I am a Senior Technical Assistance Associate with Synergy Enterprise Incorporated. That we provide technical assistance to the Office of Indian Education, and it is my honor and privilege to be able to work with all of your grantees day to day, as well as to put together and work this exciting project directors meeting. Before we get into the sort of the meat of this presentation, I wanted to do just a short orientation to our Passable page. Just in case, Sarah went through it in the keynote, but I just wanted, just in case you maybe missed that, I wanted to be able to share that. So let me go ahead and share that page with you. And let's get a little bit of orientation. Okay. All right, hopefully you are seeing my Passable page. Go ahead in the chat and let me know if you can see that. It's the page that you're looking at right now. Yeah, okay, great, awesome, thank you. So our Passable, the first two sessions of each day of the 3 days is a little different than what we're used to within our talking circles and in our usual TA webinars, in that we can't see you, we can only see you in the chat, and we can't unmute you as well. And so our main communication tool is either the chat or polls. I really want to encourage you to put your questions and your comments in the chat as well as in the poll tab. So if you look right here, you can see we have that chat, and I'll be watching that as we go along. Great to hear from everyone. Oh, my audio is kind of fuzzy. Sorry, Alana. I hope it sounds better now. Also, we have this polls tab where you can go ahead and enter your question. I'll be taking various pauses throughout the session to sort of check in and see if there's any questions. So please feel free to put that in there. And then at the end, you can go ahead and rate this presentation 1 to 5 stars. We also have this file tab. So in this file tab, it will be going through various tools. And so I've provided the links to the tools, the online tools that I'll be sharing. Also in this file, you can see the PowerPoint presentation. So there it is provided there in PDF form. And then if we go to people, we can also see the people who are joining in or who may have signed up for this actual session. So again, that's just orientation to the site. Remember, we're playing a game, and so the more you chat and the more you ask questions, that gives you points to the game. So I really want to encourage you to share and chat and comment. So let me go ahead and reshare, come back to our presentation. Okay, again, if you just joined us, I am Oleni, and I will be taking you through the Battling Online for Learning Fatigue. So let's see what we're going to be up to during this session. We have really 4 objectives. One is to identify the symptoms of online fatigue and to really learn some strategies to both either prevent or minimize online learning fatigue. We're going to look and explore some strategies for increasing student engagement in a virtual learning environment, as well as discover online tools that will promote increased student engagement. You know, now after the pandemic, virtual learning may be a reality moving forward. And so I know this session was created because in various talking circles, a lot of the grantees have commented about the difficulty now after 2 years of doing online learning to engage students and keep them engaged. And so this is the purpose and the reason why we created this session. So we're going to get up and start to move. We sat through an amazingly inspirational keynote speech from Julian. That was really amazing, but we've been sitting for a little bit. So even though I can't see you, this is going to be on the honor system. Let's stand up and do a body movement poll. So first, I want you, if you've had a backache or headache in the last week, go ahead and lift and wave your left arm. All right, great. Now, if you feel tension right now in your neck or shoulders, why don't you go ahead and roll your head? Oh boy, that feels good. Okay, great. Now, if you have not stood up within the last 30 minutes, which I know probably a lot of you haven't, why don't you stand up and touch your toes? Oh boy. That's great. Okay, so that's a fun way of infusing movement into your virtual learning sessions, which is really movement is a really key factor in learning fatigue. So really, Olania, are you making up this idea about learning fatigue? Is this a real thing? Yes, it is. Even prior to the pandemic, with people who were doing a lot of distance work, there were research being created around this phenomenon called online working fatigue. But definitely after the pandemic, after teachers and students and staff have had to go online and really, you know, for the most part, for the last 2 years, work and play and socialize and learn online, there was this definition created called online learning fatigue. Really, what it is a state of weariness, fatigue, and boredom that a user can feel from attending multiple meetings, classes, or online events during the day. So yes, it is real, and research is proving that. There's lots of different terms that people have come up with to name this fatigue. Some of them are fun, like Zoom gloom, e-learning fatigue, screen exhaustion, digital fatigue, online burnout, screen time sickness, and zoomed out. I don't know if have any of you heard these terms, and maybe if you've heard of some other terms, go ahead and put that in the chat. Oh, I'm seeing lots of people like the Zoom gloom, right? It is, Michelle, it's really helpful to have these things that you may be feeling named and to recognize that it is a real thing. Okay. So let's look at, online burnout. Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. That's another great term that we can use to describe sort of these feelings. And so when we look at virtual fatigue or online fatigue, some of the causes are increased cognitive load. Now, what does that mean? What it means is that, and I'm sure many of you experience this as we transition from live to online, is that you notice that it was a little difficult to fully grasp communication because communication is both verbal, but it's also nonverbal. And so while we got on screen, it was a little difficult to sort of, for our brains to process the nonverbal when we're only seeing a face and maybe, a whole array of faces like Brady Bunch. It gave us an increased cognitive load because our brains had to discern and decipher cues that we were most used to seeing live through both body motions, tone, as well as body language. And so that really increased our cognitive load. The other cause was intense close up eye contact. You folks know when you're on Zoom, you're just really focused on the speaker and this sort of like the headshot, right? And so it can make your eyes tired by just being so focused in on that close up eye contact. Also, seeing yourself while talking. Now, I know as an adult that sometimes that can create some anxiety, but imagine yourself as a teenager or a youth who's dealing with, their body changing and peer pressure and being able, and then seeing yourself on camera and then seeing yourself talk. That can create anxiety and stress, and just sort of anxiety even going into the session, knowing that you're going to have to be on camera and maybe even talking on camera. Also, the lack of mobility, being sitting down and not moving. Sometimes when we're live and students are live, they can get up, go take something to the rubbish. Also, your eyes like to have a break, and seeing like the teacher move or other students move gives your eyes and brains a break. But when you're not able to see that because you're online, that can be also create virtual fatigue. Have any of you experienced any of these causes of virtual fatigue? And maybe others that you have experienced as well and seen with your students? Great, Julie. Yeah, using breakout rooms with much smaller groups helps our teens. Yes, yes. I see other people are saying yes, they've experienced that as well. Yeah. And Julie, that is actually one of the strategies we'll be talking about. Leslie, a lot of my families are experiencing this. We're happy we're talking about this and getting strategies help. Oh, great. Great. I hope this is helpful. It would be great to hear back from you folks, maybe some tool that you've used or a strategy that you've used and how it worked for you in your communities. Okay, so those are some of the causes of virtual fatigue. And so really, when we think about that, what are the impacts we're seeing? And I know you folks have been seeing this because this is why we actually created this session. We're seeing in our students and staff a lack of focus. There is a knowledge absorption decrease, disengagement, a lot of off-screen or not sharing. Also, there is a high dropout risk, whether it is actually dropping out of school or just, when we were in school and online, just not showing up to the online sessions. Also, what we call body dysfunctionality related to movement, posture, and eyesight. So as we sit here for a while, it hampers our ability to move, our posture. Sometimes we have to check our posture to make sure, and as well as our eyesight. And all of these cause bodily stresses that may get our back out of alignment. Maybe our hips are sore. This also happens for students too. And so I'm getting notices that you're not hearing me. So I'll keep going.
I can hear you, Alani.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so body dysfunctionality is an impact of this online learning fatigue. Also, I know you folks are aware of increased anxiety and stress, both to like getting on screen and the pressures of online learning, but also, when you have these body ailments, they can also cause you anxiety and stress. Okay, I'm glad you guys can hear me. Thanks for letting me know. Also, is the risk of seclusion. And so again, when we have our students in the last 2 years being, isolated, only interacting online. I know I saw it with my daughter. There was this sort of seclusion element to it where there wasn't a lot of interaction, social interaction with her peers. Also we're seeing underdeveloped, underpracticed, and suppressed social skills. Um, I don't know about you, but maybe in teachers that I've talked to, a lot of the coming back to live, the first part of it, coming back live, was to really practice social skills and get students feeling comfortable being with each other again, even though they were really super excited about it, and being mindful. I know a lot of you have been very mindful about the social and emotional impacts of students coming back live and be very cognizant of that. Have you folks seen any students displaying any of these impacts of online learning fatigue? You can go ahead and put that in the chat. Yes. Which ones are sort of most pronounced for you, as you've seen students maybe come back or as you're continuing online learning? I know that, again, unpracticed social skills, tuning out, yes, fatigue and disengagement, dark eyes and low energy. Yeah, burnout and lack of engagement. And it's kind of hard, right? I mean, if you are maybe doing asynchronous and synchronous learning, you may be still having to do online and wanting to look for ways to continue to engage. I think the push to do both online and in person sends a difficult message that they are supposed to be doing more and more and more. Yes, yes. And I know you're, as probably teachers and instructors and maybe after school, you also feel the pressure of doing more and more and more content. There's this idea about, the students have fallen behind, and so there's pressure to provide more math content, more language content, more social studies. Um, there is that pressure, but we're going to be looking at some strategies that will hopefully um, relieve some of that pressure, but also, uh, you know, give you permission to know that taking care of a student's mental health and social well-being is important for them to continue to learn and be engaged online. Oh wow, Scott, that's a really great comment. Lack of eye contact in person. Huh, that's interesting. Have you others of you seen that now that they've come back in person, that there is maybe um, some challenges around gaining eye contact? Just gonna see. Yes, yes, the whole student person. Yes, we need to care. Really, I mean, with everything that students have gone through, as well as teachers, in order to have them regain their academics, we really need to first think about making sure that their brains and their hearts and their minds are ready to learn. Craig, yes, as well as body language. Just stop working on online platforms. Yeah, that's that would be really helpful to go back full live. Uh, some programs I know are having to do both, or depending on your community, needing to stay online. Yes, when we went back to into schools, students struggled socially, isolate. Yes, yep, and the masks also create this barrier, right, around definitely from nonverbal communication. Okay, I'm going to just take a pause and check my polls to see if there's any questions there. Nope. Okay, great. Coming back. All right, so we have actually been online for quite some time. So we're going to take this opportunity to take a break. Now, this is again, is you giving yourself permission as well as giving your students permission to just sort of chill, shut down, become calm. And one of the tools that is accessible to teachers for free is Headspace. So let me go ahead and share that with you. I'm going to change my screen. There we go. You should be seeing my Headspace site. So again, this is available to teachers for free or instructors. You just need to complete an application. And it has all different types of mindfulness exercises. Whether it's breathing, you can access kids, excuse me, appropriate meditation. We're going to take some time and we're going to pamper ourselves a little bit and do that. So you can see here, we're going to pick Kids Calm. This is for ages 6 through 8. You can, once you go in, you can go ahead and choose your teacher. You can either have a male teacher or a female teacher. It provides some information about the teachers. There is also some meditation in this area for this age group around kindness. Also, good night. This is, you can make this accessible actually to parents and students as well. We're going to go in here. Also, you can, depending on your time, you can go into this little gear and you can select the minutes that you would like to utilize this mindfulness exercise, 2, 4, or 6. They all sort of vary depending on the actual exercise. So again, let's give ourselves permission to take a break, calm our minds. Again, you'll be listening at this. This is appropriate for ages 6 through 8.
Hi, my name's Andy. So make sure you're sitting somewhere comfortable. Or if you like, you can do this lying down on the floor. And in this exercise, we're going to imagine that the body starts off a little bit wriggly, like it wants to move around, but then it starts to feel increasingly relaxed and calm, perhaps a little bit heavy, very still. So we're just going to practice that now. So start off by taking a nice big deep breath, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. If you like, you can put your hand on your tummy so you can feel that movement. Or you can just leave your hand down by your side. And you can have your eyes open or closed for this exercise. To begin with, just very, very gently moving the head from side to side. It's like you're rolling it very, very slowly until eventually it just stops and relaxes. Shoulders moving just ever so slightly, very gently, until they stop. Completely relaxed. The arms just moving very gently. And then it's like they feel too heavy, they just stop. The hands and the fingers, just wiggling the fingers. And then just letting them relax. The legs now just gently moving or rolling the legs. Until they just feel too heavy and they just come to a stop. Relax. Same with the feet Just moving them very gently. And then they stop. And finally the toes. Just wiggling the toes. And then they just stop. So it's as though the whole body feels very heavy, very relaxed, very calm. If you haven't done already, just closing the eyes. And just taking a moment to lie there, to enjoy that feeling of being still. And keep your hand on your tummy, that's comfortable. See if you can stay there for just a few more seconds. And then when you're ready, just gently opening the eyes again.
Okay. Let's come back. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. I know I feel less stress. I was a little bit nervous coming in. Great, calm. I'm sure you can tell by my voice. I'm a little chill right now. Again, this is a really great tool to use maybe, you know, coming in from recess or, when both live and online, when maybe you're going to be coming on live and there's some anxiety, you might want to start your day with this just to sort of calm students down around maybe some anxiety about being on camera. Also, it's good. Yeah, Michelle, it's good to remember to pause intentionally, yes, and take care of ourselves. We're so, and I know this is definitely for teachers, so trying to move forward, um, and uh, again, get that content out. There's so many pressures. It's really good to be mindful and take some breaks for yourself as well as your students. So I'm glad you enjoyed that and you feel relaxed. I know there's some static. Let's see if I can do that. So here are some strategies that we'll be going over during this session. One is really to take frequent breaks. Another is to both provide synchronous and asynchronous activities. Integrate movement, breakout groups, assign roles, also some providing and being intentional about providing social and emotional support and fun. Again, this is all for programs that may need to do either a hybrid of whether they're part-time live and part-time online, or you might still need to be fully online. And so these are strategies you can do to hopefully either prevent or minimize online learning fatigue. Actually, John, in the files, there is actually a link to Headspace, so you can connect there. All of the tools I'll be going through, the link is in the Files tab of your Passable for this session. Hope that helps. Awesome. So let's go through one of our first strategies, frequent breaks. You know, it's funny because, even for adults, prior to going online, our attention span was probably about 15 minutes. But definitely with the advent of social media, tweets, TikToks, our attention span, both for adults as well as for students, has gotten even shorter. Sometimes people say that we have the attention span online attention span of a goldfish, which I think is kind of funny. But again, being intentional about taking frequent breaks, and don't um, stress or create more stress about being allowing yourself to take breaks. Again, remember that online attention span is much shorter. Uh, Plan ways to build in breaks for your students' eyes, bodies, and brains. You almost have to be as intentional with your breaks than you are with as you are with your content delivery. So as you're making your lesson plan or maybe your activity plan, you want to go ahead and schedule in and be mindful around the breaks. Yeah. So Michelle's saying that's really a reattention spans. Yeah, we're pulled in so many directions. Yes, exactly. So I wanted to share a fun tool that both it hits so many I guess needs. One is around movement. The other one is continuing to deliver content and then be fun as well. So let's go. I don't know if any of you have used Go Noodle, but I'm going to share that with you. Let me change my screen here. And we are going to participate along in a dance. So Go Noodle is a great website that provides a lot of free content. And so here is an activity or a video that you could share with your students to either introduce a topic, to I guess, embed the concept into your students' language, as well as to could possibly be a review tool. So let's go ahead and look at this and participate in this fun video.
Mean, median, mode, and range. Nerds. Mean, median, mode, and range. They're coming at you fast like a high-speed train. Anytime I get a bunch of data sets, I need the triple MR like a vet needs pets. Mean, median, mode, and range. Let me tell it to you clear as cellophane. If you want to win a math game, you need these tools. Utilize them all, you'll be the big dog at school. Mean is the average, median is the middle. Mode is the number that appears the most. Range is the difference between the highest and lowest. I'll tell you about it, nerds. Come on, lean it close. Okay, first thing you need to know and better not forget is a group of numbers that's called the data set.
Oh yeah, I know a data set. It's numbers in the list.
Like a list of everyone's ages, yo, I can handle this. Ooh. Add them up and divide them by how many numbers there are. Then you got the mean. You're like a math star. OnStar is a math star. Yes, he is. Now put your numbers in order from least to great. The middle one's the median. You're cooking like a hot plate. Cooking like a. If there's a number in your data set that appears the most, that number is the mole. Spread that on your math toast.
Wait, there's toast? Wait.
Of course there is.
No, I want some toast, but whole grain, please.
Now take the highest number and subtract the lowest from that. Then you got your range. Go and get your cowboy hat. Mean, median, mode, and range. They're coming at you fast like a high-speed train. Every time I get a bunch of data sets, I need the triple MR like a vet needs pets. Mean, median, mode, and range. Let me tell it to you clear as cellophane. If you want to win the math game, you need these tools. Utilize them all, you be the big dog at school. Mean is the average, median is the middle. Mode is the number that appears the most. Range is the difference between the highest and lowest. Blaze of fresh from coast to coast. Mean, median, mode, and range. You're coming at you fast like a high-speed train. Anytime I get a bunch of data sets, I need a triple MR like a vet needs pets. Mean, median, mode, and range. Let me tell it to you clear as cellophane. If you want to win the math game, you need these tools. Utilize them all, you be the big dog at school. Get the class.
Awesome, you guys. I hope you had fun with that. Again, you can see all my levels. There's all different kinds of categories. You can see here, math, science. There's even some SEL mindfulness. And later on, we're going to go through some cross-lateral skills, which is important in movement and for your brain. So again, this is a free resource that you can access. It would be great, right, to see your students walking around campus doing the mean, median, mode, and range dance, or even maybe when they're going to go do an assessment, they can go ahead, and you might see them doing the motions as they're trying to remember. Again, a lot of our kids, whether they're native or non-native, pairing motion and movement into learning really helps to embed concepts into their learning. I'm glad you, hope you folks enjoyed that. Has anybody ever used Go Noodle, and maybe you'd like to share an activity that you really thought that really worked with kids? Go ahead and put that in the chat. And I'm going to just take a moment. Hey, John. Awesome. I'm glad you kind of grooved with me. Awesome. Great. I hope you, Michelle, it'd be great to hear back from you how it went with your students or your program participants when you use it. Great. Okay, let me get back to my screen and my presentation. Here we go. Okay, so that was Go Noodle. So again, I know Pamela said, yeah, let's get back to being live, and I totally agree with you on that one, Pamela. But for those of you who may be still needing to do online or a hybrid, you may want to think about doing both synchronous and asynchronous activities. These ideally each activity should be no more than 20 minutes long, and even that might be a little long. You want to make sure within those 20 minutes you're embedding some of these tools in there. Create offline activities as part of your overall activity plan. So really you want to maybe provide instruction and direction online, and then provide time for them to complete a task or an assignment offline, and be able to come back and share what they were able to accomplish in the next online session. Incorporate independent online activities. Use discussion boards to allow students to process and respond at their own pace. That's a really great suggestion, and I'm going to move to a tool that will allow you to do that. But before we get there, here's some examples of offline activities I've heard from some of you doing, and I've actually heard from some other both after school programs as well as some college prep, and career prep programs, is to hold community scavenger hunts. And so for one career preparation program, they actually had a career community scavenger hunt where students were given some prompts that they went out and looked for within their community, focused on careers. Also, for some language and culture programs, I've heard of some programs going out and having students interview elders, whether they're elders within their community or actually setting up opportunities to meet with cultural practitioners within their community to interview those elders. And then also being able to share or practice a cultural practice through demonstration videos, or create a student created podcast. Now I know you're probably like, Olani, that's them going back online. Yes, but if you know anything, if you've ever done a demonstration video or a podcast, a bulk of the work actually happens offline, whether it's coming up with a storyboard or scripting or setting up interviews. All of that stuff happens offline, and then the product actually or the fruit of that work actually would be the demonstration video or a podcast, which takes them back online. I see some people are commenting, Julie, I think our kids are going to love going, right? It's so much fun, right? It's kind of catchy too. And then John, as we open to in-person, we realize that hybrid will have its place. Yes, yes. It may be around for a while, and it may, for some programs, it may be the best mode. It definitely allows for many of you in rural areas that, maybe during certain seasons or because of transportation, allows you to reach more students. So balancing that, meeting their needs, while also being mindful of what they need to stay engaged. Okay, let's move on. So here's a tool that I'm sure many of you have used. You can go ahead and uh, let me know in the chat if you've used Flipgrid. It is a fairly simple tool. It's a free website and app. It is a platform for creating video discussions. Again, you can create a prompt and then your students can go ahead and respond. And not only can they respond to your prompt, but they can also respond to the other responses from other students. So again, it's a great way to engage. Of course, you want to make sure you're setting up expectations and rules for engagement for your students so they know how to use appropriate language. Make sure that their comments are constructive and supportive of their peers. But let's go ahead and take a look at the tool Flipgrid. I'm going to go ahead and share Flipgrid. And let's go to a new share. And let's take a look at Flipgrid. So here's the login. Again, there is a free version, very simple to use. Okay, and I lost my cursor. There it is. Okay. So let's see. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And you can go ahead and create your groups of students. I've gone ahead and looked at, I have a fun group. And so you can just create your prompts. For example, hello, I'm excited to learn with you on Flipgrid. You can ask your students how do you pronounce your name and what is something we should know about you. Again, you can create those prompts. And then what happens is it gets sent out to your student list and then they respond back and then can be also coached to respond to other students' videos. It looks like quite a few of you have used Flipgrid before. Awesome. It was definitely a tool a lot of teachers and instructors went to as we transferred online. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Now, the next strategy is really around movement, and we've done some of that already. We've both sat calm and got in tune with our bodies as well as moved our bodies, but you should really involve movement for the whole body and create balance and cross-lateral movements. Cross-lateral movements are really movements that take different parts of our body and have it do things that it's not normally engaged in order to really get the brain sort of functioning and firing. Movement is definitely good for the brain. You should build movement into your learning activities, not just at break time. So for example, we just again did that Go Noodle. We were actually delivering content as well as getting students to move. And so you really want to see about making sure you're including that. If you folks can share in the chat maybe how you are getting your students to move and be engaged in movement, that would be awesome. I'm going to just take a moment, give you a second to respond. In the chat. Again, how are you using movement, maybe online? And while you're putting in the chat, I will move forward in the presentation. Oh, great. Michelle's saying they take a stretch break. Oh, yes, water is important health-wise and culturally. Yeah, that's a great point, Michelle. I don't know, with some schools, definitely, coming back, whether you're doing an after-school program or are coming or staying online, making sure that students have their water and that they are taking sips throughout the day and staying hydrated. Which reminds me, let's all take a sip break. Yum. Thanks, Michelle. I needed that. And Julie, dedicated session breaks with students taking turns. Nice, really nice. Getting students engaged in that process, and it's not just the teacher doing everything. An online scavenger hunt, find something in yellow. Great. That's really fun. Getting them to come up off of their desk and go look around. That's great for something in yellow. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, you guys. Go ahead and keep sharing. I'm going to move forward, but I'll come back and check on the chat as we go. Another strategy is breakout groups, and I think some of our participants have mentioned that. I can't remember who. I think it was Julie maybe or Michelle mentioned about creating breakout groups. Really, it's an opportunity for students to connect with peers and with content. And definitely with some of the anxiety around being on camera, it's a little bit more intimate and maybe a place of a little bit more level of creating comfortableness. Usually you want to have small groups of 3 to 6 students. Having them work on a common goal sort of takes the focus off of the student and onto the goal. Also understanding each member's strengths and weaknesses. That's something, beyond just sort of dealing with online learning fatigue, is also to develop some skills that are lifelong skills. Oh, Craig, you lost sound? Can everybody else hear me? Or is it? Okay, great. Alrighty. Well, sometimes Craig, but you can't hear me, Craig. Hold on a second. Maybe let's put in the chat. What if you've been losing sound? I know some people have. What they've done is they've signed out and signed back in. So let's.
I can put it in the chat, Alani.
Thank you. Because he probably can't hear me telling him to do that. Okay, so we are on breakout groups. The other thing about breakout groups, again, around the whole social dynamics, is to provide students some what I call talk story time. Conversation that is just the regular conversation they might have in passing in the hallways, or transitioning between one activity to the next in elementary classrooms. Sometimes students, as they're going to get their supplies, are talking to another student about random things. And so providing that space for some random conversation. Again, you want to make sure you're monitoring it like you would in your classroom or in the hallways or in the lunchroom. But really providing that non-constructed social conversations is really important, both for mental and social health. Oh, okay, great. Craig, I'm glad you got that message. The other thing is assigning roles. Now, I know most of us are really familiar with assigning roles when we want to create a breakout group, because you'll have, like, as an instructor or a teacher, you'll have 5 breakout groups and you're not able to manage each breakout groups. And so creating assigned roles helps the students to self-manage, but also think about as you're delivering content. So maybe, for example, you've had students go ahead and research some native language vocabulary terms, and that is the instruction was provided online. You are allowing them to do that work offline as independent work, but when they come in, you may want to assign some of those students randomly with starting the conversation and sharing. Part of the anxiety with sharing is who's going to talk first. And online, we sometimes unmute and bump into each other on conversation, or you have the Zoom silence, right? Which, depending, I don't know how many of you attended the True Colors. Depending on your color, it may cause actual anxiety to have that silence. And so by assigning someone, some students to kick off the discussion or the share out can help both alleviate some of the anxiety of people feeling like, oh my gosh, it's quiet. I need to feel that quiet. Or is she going to call on me, by already knowing who's going to be called on and giving them time to prepare. I know a lot of cultural, I guess, values and practices around sharing and learning is really about preparing the learner to be successful. And so giving them a heads up that they are going to be called on to present allows them to feel, to prepare for themselves and to hopefully feel some level of confidence going in and to minimize some of the anxiety. Also, you want to create definitely an online materials manager. So, for example, if you are in a Google Classroom, you may want to assign someone to collect all the materials of a small group working on a project. Definitely, like I said, a presenter. Also, a note taker, having the students select a note taker again when they're working in those small groups. A timekeeper, which is really helpful for the group. Also, if the students are going to go work offline, you might want to have them be their own timekeeper and set a time for them to come back online. Now, that's really when you want them to like do a piece of work or a project and come back online. Maybe not the next day, but 20 minutes later, you want to have them be their own timekeeper. As also a group leader. So assigned roles work well both, online, offline, hybrid, small group, large group. It really helps students be successful. Okay, let's find my cursor. There we go. The other thing is looking around social and emotional support. For both the instructor and or teacher, as well as other students, is getting to know each student and providing opportunities for that. Look for ways to connect and engage students. Now, I know this might be maybe a little bit easier when you're maybe working at the elementary level where you have your students all day, every day, and they're not transitioning from classroom to classroom. Also, middle and high school where they're moving from one content to the other. We want to be mindful in getting to know each student, really having those individual student coaching or check-in sessions is also really helpful to both get to know the students and to check in with them. That's really a great way to connect and engage with students. You might want to create a breakout room of just yourself and another student, or maybe another partner. Provide opportunities for conversation and sharing. Again, we just went through a couple of strategies that can allow for that. One of the areas is conversation, and I really want to encourage non-constructed conversation. That's really where students learn how to interact socially, to have those conversations and practice them, as well as being able to share, like we just discussed. Also to do emotional check-ins. After we did the Headspace meditation, I did a check-in with you folks to see how you were doing. It's as simple as that. And even with students, you could do an emoji check-in with them on Zoom right when they come into the classroom, just so you can kind of get a sense about where everybody's at. Also, reach out to students who are not regularly attending and or engaging. There are different ways to do that. Different tools out there, whether it's through Google Classroom, which I know is widely used. Sometimes teachers have had to go to the regular old calling students, and I know I've heard from some of you who've actually gone out to students' homes to see how they were doing, to check in on the family, and to encourage them to come back into activities. So I wanted to share with you a really great free tool online. It's called along.org. It's a free social and emotional learning tool. This tool allows you to be able to pose thoughtful reflection questions to students. Have any of you used along.org? If you could go ahead in the chat and let me know if you've used it before. And, and maybe if you have, share some of your thoughts about the program, how it worked, or maybe it didn't work. I don't know. And let us know. You can go ahead and put that in the chat. I'll be checking in just a couple minutes. The Along really focuses on 5 areas of relationship development. One of them is letting students know that they matter. The other one is to help to encourage them and motivate them to get better, help students to complete tasks and achieve goals. It's a great way, again, like I said, to check in with students, to treat students with respect and give them a say. We're going to look at some of that today. And then also to connect students with people and places that broaden their world. Definitely if you're primarily online, your world can become, even though, you have the whole internet, it can become very small. And so this tool helps to broaden a student's world and perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and share that screen. Let me just get adjusted here. Again, let me know if you have used Along before, and please share your thoughts about it as I transition over. Okay, so again, here is Along. It's free to teachers, so you can go ahead and sign up, and you can put in your school email, and then you'll have access to the entire library and be able to share out different reflections. So let's go ahead and look at what they have here. So this is would be your home page. And let's go ahead and look at the library. So here's some popular reflections. You can go ahead and look at that. Tell me your name. Do you know where it came from? Is there a story behind it? Now this allows students to share both via audio, video, and also through text, through written text, not a text on your phone. But it allows 3 different ways for students to respond. So let's scroll down and look at some of the collections. So here's a welcome students to Along, get to know your students, share goals and aspirations, as well as some reflections to understand students as learners. Here are some that provide, again, how to challenge growth. Let's go ahead and look at that. So here's some reflection prompts. Think of a time when stress helped you perform better. What was that like? Again, some really great reflections to get students thinking. Some classroom activities, set goals, create a sleep, mood, and energy chart. Oh, that would be cool, right? For some science and math, some data collection based on also self-awareness around their sleep, mood, and energy. And here's some educator practice. So again, it gives educators some tools as well. Express care. Let's go take a look. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to do share power first. I thought that this was really cool. Different ways in which you can engage students to share in the power. That is one of the strategies around engaging students, is to give them some power in choice. What classroom and school norms do you suggest we adopt as a community this year? This is great to sort of set, I know a lot of you folks do some behavior expectations at the beginning of the year and get students to agree to those and maybe even create some of those expectations so that they develop buy-in into some of the classroom or even school behaviors. If you could change something about our classroom, what would it be? Why would you would like to make this happen? Let's go in and look at what this looks like. So if you wanted to choose and select this question, it would show you this page. You want students to feel a sense of agency regarding their experiences in your classroom. And this can help students see and feel that their voices are being included in the classroom. So you would go ahead and pick this question, and you're seeing me. But this is where they could do their audio, or they could also, you could put in your own message here, and then they would be able to respond. Unfortunately, because I don't have my own school, I wasn't able to fully log in, but I really want to encourage you to sort of explore this tool. Again, it's free for teachers, so really sort of take some time to look through here. Let's go to, I want to share Express Care and some of the prompts. How would you describe your energy level right now? Why do you feel this way? Again, this might be a good way to bring students back into maybe they've been working offline and coming back. Maybe the work was stressful, or maybe they were frustrated in a small group. This is a great reflection. Okay, great. So that is along.org. Sharing my, again, you can go ahead in the chat and share if you ever use along.org. Awesome. I want to take a moment to just peruse the chat and see if there's any questions. Oh, great. Great, Leslie. Yes. Indigenous authored books they want to read in book club. That is great. Okay, let's move on. Now, I love fun like anybody else, and definitely youth want to have the time to have fun. And I know a lot of you teachers and instructors try to incorporate, but join in, be silly, play games. There's a lot of games you can take offline as well as online. I wanted to share one of these tools that I thought was kind of cool, is how to make your own meme. And again, this is a free resource on Google Draw. So let me go ahead and share that tool with you. You know, our kids love, unfortunately, they love to create. They live online sometimes. We got to kick them off, but they also like to participate in the online community. And one of those ways to participate is by being a creator of memes. And here are some very easy instructions that the Google template provides. So it's a copy of meme template. We provided that in the files so you can access that. They can take their own pictures. I kind of made a funny, this is what Hawaiians call pu'olu, that they would store food in. And so I called it Takeout Dinner Ancestor Size. And so that was kind of a funny, again, it gives students a way to create something funny, or you could even have it be very content driven and add a cultural aspect. And then if you're using Google Classroom, they could go ahead and share this on the Google Classroom. Also, there is Giphy Capture that can actually create, it's a GIF maker that actually is free online as well. This one you can have students access. I would definitely want to encourage you to do a lot of pre-work around expectations, around language and appropriate photos in order to monitor students' work. But that's just, again, some fun things for students to do online and be creative. Okay. Another fun tool is Flippity. Flippity is great games that you can create, and it's free online. There's lots of different tools that you can use for different types of games. And you can make a board game on your own. You can add your own questions. You can make it language, or actually have the students create a game for themselves. You can be either content driven or just maybe something fun, an area of interest that they're liking. I don't know what kids are into now. My daughter is into these sort of Japanese character keychains that they're collecting, and so that might be a thing that you might want to encourage them. But any of maybe an area of interest that the students are into. So we're nearing our end time, and so I wanted to take one last break. What you'll see here is what we call a cross lateral movement break. This again is on Go Noodle. So let me just change. And so I really want to encourage you again to participate, move your body, and have fun with this. This is an activity, again, because it's cross lateral and it's having your body do something that it probably doesn't normally do. It helps to stimulate different parts of your brain. So let's all participate.
Brain-a-size with Mr. Catman. Shoulder rock and roll. Meow. Mr.
Mr. Catman, what happened? Let's see. Let me go back. What happened?
Alani, it looks like it's just buffering. If you want to pause it for a second and let it
Pause.
and try again.
Let me try and catch up. Okay, should I go? I'll go back a little bit and then play again.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if this works. No. Should I refresh my page maybe?
Yeah, sometimes that helps too.
Oh, this says this video cannot be played. Okay.
Yeah, give it a refresh and see what you get.
Okay, let's see.
This is the fun of virtual world, is you have plan B.
Yep. And also give yourself room.
Brain-a-size
Oh, here we go.
with Mr. Catman.
Let's go,
Shoulder
Catman.
rock and roll. Meow. Mr. Catman is doing his robot dancing. Slick. Roll your shoulders forward like Mr. Catman.
Okay, everybody roll your shoulders.
Next, roll your shoulders backward. Now let's combine the two. Roll one shoulder forward and roll the other shoulder backward at the same time.
That's that cross lateral movement I was talking to you about.
You got it? Roll one shoulder forward and the other shoulder backward at the same time. Awesome. Meow, switch sides.
Uh-oh.
Roll your opposite shoulder forward and the other shoulder backward. If you can't get it, no need to have a cat-a-doodle. Practice makes perfect. For real.
Awesome. Meow. Meow. Great. I hope maybe you can see your brain is maybe firing a little bit more. I don't know. Mine seems to be. But that was that cross-lateral movement I was talking to you about that really starts to get the brain moving in different ways. So I want to take a moment and just sort of pause. Oh, wow, Julie, that's cool. So Julie says that Mr. Catman will be appearing in our summer program. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, and looks like Mr. Catman stole your mood, John. Sorry about that. So I want to just sort of engage you on the chat, and maybe there is a strategy or a tool that you've been using that I did not cover. I mean, there's a gazillion things out there right now. Go ahead and share that with your peers in the chat. And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask those questions. You can put your question in either the chat or you can go to polls and enter your question there. Shucks. Sonia, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here.
Oh, so was the 9:30 the 10 minutes? Did that include the 10 minutes? No, right?
No.
I thought we were supposed to get 10 minutes grace.
Yeah, you'll get
Yeah.
10 minutes.
So am I still on?
Yes, yes, yes. You're still on.
Okay, 'cause
Sorry.
I'm sorry, everybody. My thing just ended and I don't know where I went. Sorry, gang. That was me trying to figure it out. Okay, no worries. We're happy to be here with you. Okay, awesome. Great. So, again, go ahead and share in the chat. Any questions? I'm going to go and check the poll one last time. You know, that's one of the things online, right? I mean, sometimes you have multiple screens up and like you get lost, you lose your cursor. Like give yourself permission to be human and uh, to try to, figure things out and bring people along with you. That's right, John. That's right. Okay, and rhyming is fun. Nice. Yeah. Thank you for the resources. Great. Flipgrid and Mentimeter. Mentimeter is a great way to engage students. I really love the word cloud on Mentimeter. Short whole group sessions, breakout rooms, activity sessions, and time for students to talk about how they feel. Awesome. Way to integrate all those strategies, Julie. Yes. Yes, Michelle. They should feel cared about and that they matter. I mean, that's really, like they always say, like it only takes one caring adult to really change a student's life. Letting kids know you struggle, yes, with online fatigue. I think, one of the things definitely with pandemic is to, be vulnerable, to be transparent, and to let students know through your example that it's okay. Okay, here are some of the resources that I wanted to share with you. You know, Actually, I guess maybe it was almost 2 years ago, going on 2 years, when I first came on with OIE, we did a whole slew of distance learning technical assistance. That is still available to you on OIE, the YouTube channel. So you can go back and check it out. We did a really in-depth student engagement TA session that provided other tools and more into how to build those tools. Because of the time, and I wanted to provide a broader range, I didn't kind of get into, how you would set up your Flipgrid or anything else. And so there is that access. So go ahead, if there's any questions, you can take a couple minutes to put any questions you have. It's great to see you folks talking to each other on the chat. I love it. Again, I want to thank you for joining. We're over time by 4 minutes. I want to let you folks go, get into your next session. Have a great day. Remember, drink your water, stand up, move around during the sessions, take some of these things and integrate them into your own practice. Aloha and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Alani.
Thank you.